How to look after your saxophone. Now it is really, really important that every single time you play your saxophone, you clean it after. The reason for this is that when we play, our instrument, particularly the inside, accumulates moisture. Whether that's spit or condensation or a combination of everything, there will be moisture inside your instrument. The longer you play, the more there will be. So what we need to do is make sure that we remove this moisture after we've finished. Now this is really important because moisture and pads, which are the inserts underneath the keys, do not make friends. The problem with this is that pads will absorb the moisture, they will expand, and once they expand, they no longer fit or close properly. So it's just like anything that absorbs water, it absorbs moisture, it expands. The other problem is that when you've got moisture inside your instrument, you can encourage the growth of mold, which is kind of gross. Now I've seen mold in green, in black, in red, in white, in every color under the sun. So please, please be mindful, not only for your own personal health, but your saxophone's health. We do not want moisture inside our instrument. So what you will need to do is grab a pull-through. Now a pull-through is literally a piece of fabric attached to a string with a weight on the end. Now, so the whole point of this is that we can grab the weighted side of the pull through, drop it down the saxophone and pull the cloth through the instrument to remove the moisture. Now some other ones that I have is this one. This is my alto one. It is literally just a piece of absorbent fabric. Again, it is touched to a string and there is a weight on the end. And here is one more that I have. This is a slightly thicker one. It's also slightly bigger. So this is for a tenor saxophone. Now again, it's a piece of fabric attached to a string with a weight on the end. So what we want to do is when we have our saxophone, we've finished playing it. Now what we want to do is we want to drop the weighted end of the string down the top of the saxophone and feed it through until it can go no further. Now you'll notice that the entire string is now inside my saxophone. Now with this particular cloth, because the string is in the middle of the cloth, I am actually going to open up the fabric so that it's not bunched together. Something you will notice particularly with soprano saxophones is that if your cloth bunches up, it gets too thick and therefore will not fit through the saxophone. And we've had some horror stories to go with that. So just make sure that your fabric is open. Now I have this little tiny piece of string down my bell. So what I want to do is tip my saxophone upside down until it falls out. The other option is that you can put your hand inside the bell and try and grab it. Now because there's a weight on the end of this string, it should come out. Gravity will help you. Now, all I do is literally pull my pull through the instrument. You might want to do this a couple of times, particularly if you've been playing quite a lot in a day, because a lot of moisture can accumulate and you can't guarantee that one pull through is actually going to remove all of the moisture inside your instrument. So do it a couple of times if need be. Now the other thing you might have to clean your instrument is a big fuzzy, looks like a feather duster on a stick, and it lives through this part of the saxophone. Now the problem with these is, yes, they remove the moisture, but then you've got this wet feather duster essentially inside your instrument. Not good. So if you do have one of these, throw it in the bin or put it into your saxophone, pull it out. Do not store it inside your saxophone. If you store it inside your saxophone, you essentially have a wet feather duster up against each of your keys and pads. The moisture is still inside the instrument. Yes, it's absorbed into something, but you are creating a beautiful environment for mold. It will be warm, it will be moist, and it is dark. Not great. So please, if you can, I would use a pull through. If you don't have a pull through and you have one of these and you desperately want to keep it, just don't store it inside the instrument. A lot of repairers like to call it a pad killer rather than a pad saver. Now, you do have two other parts to your saxophone. You have your neck and your mouthpiece. Now, you can actually buy really, really tiny pull-throughs which just clean the neck. This is great. If you can afford one of these, please do it. Otherwise, grab a piece of your cloth, and I like to actually just grab my pinky and clean as much as I possibly can from the instrument. Now, my pinky doesn't really fit all the way through. I can get to about maybe here on the neck. So this is not perfect. It's not cleaning all of the moisture in the instrument, but it is better than nothing. Alternatively, as I said, miniature pull through, same concept, you grab the weighted end. I always like to go fat end, and then I like to work it down through, and then pull it through until it comes out. So that is a smaller pull through. Now, I used this bigger one for my alto saxophone and this smaller one for my neck. So I have 2 pull throughs to make sure that my instrument is clean. And then same thing for the mouthpiece. You can either use your finger to push the cloth in as far as you can to get as much moisture, or again, you can use the smaller of the 2 pull throughs to pull it through the mouthpiece to make sure there's no moisture. Now, there is one more cloth that you might have within your saxophone case, and this will be a much thicker material, and this is called a polishing cloth. Now, the whole purpose of a polishing cloth is to polish your instrument. You are removing oils, dirt, and fingerprints from the outside lacquer of your instrument. Now, you don't have to do this every time that you play your instrument. If you'd like to, by all means, go for it. And if you have particularly acidic skin where you're wearing through the lacquer of the instrument, you might need to do it every single day. But you don't have to. This is something that you might do once a week or once a month to make sure that your instrument looks its best at all times. Now, this is a much thicker material, and it is used for the outside of your instrument. Do not put it on the inside of your instrument. It is too thick and will probably get stuck. Now, one more thing I'd like to mention. If your cleaning cloth gets stuck inside your saxophone, this is what you need to do. Do not force it. You need to pull it back out the way that it's going. So if I use this cloth for an example, I've obviously put the weight into the instrument and I'm trying to pull it through this way. Now, if this cloth gets bunched up in any way, it might get stuck in my saxophone, which can be a problem. What I don't want to do is pull it harder the way that it's going. What I need to do is pull it the other way. I need to pull it back out the way that it came. Chances are the fabric is bunched up or folded over, and this is what's caused the blockage. You also do not want to grab something and try and shove it down harder. Big no-no. This is a common issue in a soprano saxophone because obviously the bell is quite large and it gets smaller as it goes up. I've actually personally done this myself with this exact pull through. I had to go to a repair technician to get them to remove keys and then slowly work the cloth out. Which brings me to my final point. If it does get stuck and you can't remove it, don't force it, take it to a repair person. The more you fiddle with it and compact it by trying to remove it, the worse the blockage is going to become. You will probably lose your pull through, but at least your instrument will be saved if you take it to a technician. Whatever you do, don't force it. Pull it out the way it came or take it to a technician if you can't reach it.